Hey folks, Gary here. Happy Thursday morning to you. We've been talking about praise and worship for the last week and a half or so, and how praise and worship should be a lifestyle. It should be how we live every single day, not just for an hour on Sunday morning or an hour and a half, but as a daily activity, how we live our lives. I remember, several years ago, a long time ago, um, a man came up to me and was talking to me, and he said, "I've been watching you and Varna, and you guys are river people." No, I didn't know what he meant by river people. I thought, you talking like a cult down the stream or something? Because we were living in BC at the time, and no, he wasn't talking like that at all. But he was saying that some people live like they're pie people, like their life is a pie, and every time they give something out of it, like they want to be generous and they give a hunk of their pie away, they look at the rest and go, "Where's my piece of the pie? Where's my share?" Like they get worried when it starts to get down here. It's like, "Oh, I got to keep all this for myself." And yeah, sometimes we live like that, and it's a hard thing because we want to be generous, but we see how much is left and we go, "Oh my goodness." He said, "You and Mara, you're river people. You you're giving out. You're supporting people. You're helping people. You're giving to things that need help, but you know that God's pouring it in at the same time. There's a river that is just flowing through, and man, that's such an easier way to live. It's easier to live by being generous and knowing that God will supply all your needs as well at the same time. Why do we do that? Because we know God is generous. God is kind, and so we want to emulate Him, and it's an act of worship. Now, when you start talking money, that's a sensitive subject. So we hardly talk about that at church at all. Now, there's going to be a day when I'm retired. I don't know when that's going to be, when I'm 80 or something like that. And when that happens, I'll probably talk about a whole lot more then, because then it won't look like I have ulterior motives when I do it, because I don't. That's just not. When a pastor talks about money, I always go, "Oh my goodness," because you don't want to look like you're after people's money, which we're not. But what we are after is freedom and worshiping God. And when you learn how to worship God with this, when you learn how to worship Him with your wallet, man, it frees up your life. Because you're saying, "I trust you with this, God. I trust you with my wallet." For Mara and I, we do like most people. We tithe at least the first 10%. That's where we start. Before anything else, before the government or anybody else, we tithe 10% of our paychecks to the church. Why? Because we want to be free from that. We want to say, "We trust you, Lord." But that's the start. If we see someone in need, we try to help out that way. Or we see a ministry, we try to help out that way. Or if the church needs something special for someone, we try to do it that way. Why? Because we know it pleases God, and it's an act of worship for Him, and we trust Him with this. And God is faithful, and God is kind. And have there been times when we've been financially super, super tight? Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's been times of that. There's been some pretty hard financial times. But we've gotten through those things, and God has blessed us. Now, we're not rich by any means. I'm probably going to be 80 before I retire, so I'm not a great guy for financial advice. But as a pastor, I will give the advice of worship. Worship God with your wallet. Ask Him what He wants you to do. Don't be a slave to this. Okay? Instead, walk in the freedom of Christ. Now, be wise with that. Don't just give money to anything that comes along. Don't just pour out your bank account and say, "I'm just going to be free." Don't do that. God's entrusted you with what He's given you to be a good steward of it. So you need to be a good steward of it, but don't be enslaved by it. Don't let it rule you. Instead, worship God with it. In Matthew 6, verse 24, it says this: "No one can serve two masters, for you will hate one and love the other. You will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and be enslaved to money." So don't let this rule your life. Instead, rule it, right? Rule your wallet by worshiping God. And you're going to live a life that's going to be a whole lot freer and a lot more relaxing. So have an awesome Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow.